Set B is a list of the ages of a group of people at a birthday party. So the ages are 6, 7, 8, 9, 9, 10, 10, 12, 14, 15, 15 and 22. They're already in order from smallest to largest. Part 1, represent the data on a stem and leaf plot. So we have a look and see what's the lowest number. And the lowest number is 6. So in our stem part, we're going to have a 0. And then in our leaf part, we're going to have a 6 with a comma after it. Next we have 7. So we're going to have 0 and a 7. Then 8, so 0 and 8. Then 9, so 0 and 9. And then 9, so 0 and 9 again. Then we have 10, 10, 12, 14, 15 and 15 that are all in the tens. So we're going to have a 1 in front. And then for 10 we're going to have a 0. So that 0 there represents 10, 1, 0 and a comma. Then the next 10 we're going to have another 0 and a comma. Then 12 we're going to have a 2 and a comma. 14 we're going to have a 4 and a comma. 15 we're going to have a 5 and a comma. And 15 we're going to have another 5. And then the last number in our list is 22, so we have a 2 for the stem and a 2 for the leaf. So that 2 represents 22. Then we always have to include a key. We'll lose marks if we forget this. So 1 with a line and a 2 represents 12. So you don't have to use this exact example. You can use any of the values that you have, but make sure that you always include a key. So we're asked to represent the data on a stem and leaf plot, and here we are. Part 2 says find Q1, the lower quartile, and Q3, the upper quartile of the data. So step 1, we need to count the leaves in the stem and leaf plot. So we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. Or we could have just counted our list up at the top. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. So the number of leaves in the plot is 12. So for Q1, the lower quartile, we get a quarter of 12. So a quarter of 12 is the same thing as a quarter multiplied by 12, and that's going to be 3. Alternatively, we could have said 12 divided by 4 is 3. 3 is not the lower quartile. So this is a whole number. So the lower quartile is going to lie midway between the third and the fourth value in the stem and leaf plot. So what we do is find the third value and the fourth value, add them together and divide by 2. So we count along our list. 1, 2, 3. So 0, 8 is our third value, so we've got 8. Our fourth value is 0, 9, so we're going to add on 9. And 8 plus 9 divided by 2 is 8.5. And that makes sense because halfway between 8 and 9 is going to be 8.5. So that would be our lower quartile, Q1. So Q1 equals 8.5. Next we want to find Q3, the upper quartile. So now we find 3/4 of the total amount, and the total amount, remember, is 12. So 3/4 of 12 is 3/4 multiplied by 12, which is 9. Alternatively, we could have said 12 divided by 4 multiplied by 3. So 9 is not Q3 or the upper quartile. 9 is going to tell us how to find it. So 9 is a whole number. So the upper quartile will lie midway between the 9th and 10th value. So what we do is find the 9th and 10th value, add them together and divide by 2. So we need to count along our list again until we find the 9th and 10th value. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. So 1, 4 or 14 is the 9th value. And that 5, which is 1, 5, which is 15, is the 10th value. So 14 plus 15 divided by 2 is 14.5. And that makes sense because somewhere in between 4 and 5, which represents 14 and 15, the midpoint of that would be 14.5, which is going to be the upper quartile, or Q3. So Q3 equals 14.5 years. So just to recap, we got a quarter of 12 for Q1, or the lower quartile, and we got 3. So since it was a whole number, we got the third and fourth value, added them together and divided by 2. For Q3, or quartile 3, or the upper quartile, we get 3/4 of 12, which is 9. Again, this is a whole number. So we get the 9th and 10th value, add them together and divide by 2. So part 3 says, what is the interquartile range? So the interquartile range is Q3 minus Q1. So we got the upper quartile to be 14.5 and the lower quartile to be 8.5. And 14.5 minus 8.5 is going to be 6. So 6 years is the interquartile range. If we had just been asked to find the range, this is the maximum value, which is the largest value, minus the minimum value, which is the lowest value. So going back to our original list, the maximum value is 22, the minimum value is 6, and 22 take away 6 is going to be 16. So 16 is the range of the full set of data, whereas the interquartile range is 6. So be careful, because interquartile range and range are two different things.